Today I'm going to be taking a look at the 4K UHD release of Ridley Scott's Gladiator II. This is the HMV exclusive Steelbook release, and I think I can safely say this is probably the best thing about this particular release. But it's not all bad, it's just not all good. But before I get on to that sort of review, I thought I'd show you my latest purchases. I'm going to include these at the end of this video, but one is a loaner from my friend Robert, that's Mandalorian Season 3, and a couple from 88 Films, one of which is a Blu-ray, but I've had a sneak peek of that. You might as well be looking at a 4K, or you'd think it was a 4K. A couple of the standard releases from Second Sight Films of their new releases for The Brood and Scanners, a pair of David Cronenberg films, and then an Arrow release, one that I haven't seen full length for probably 35-40 years. That's the great film Dressed to Kill. So I'll get onto those after I've been through Gladiator II. Now this one, it's a direct follow-up to Gladiator, set I believe 16 years after the events in Gladiator, and in this one we follow Lucius, the little boy we saw quite extensively in the 2000 film. He is the son of Lucilla, that's Connie Nielsen's character, and it's confirmed in this one he's also the son of Russell Crowe's character Maximus, who of course was the lead role Gladiator in that 2000 film. Well, we see the little boy briefly again in this film, and it's obviously had to be played by a different actor, but to me it just didn't look anything like the original actor, so that didn't work. It wasn't the opening of the film, it was some time into it, but that really took me out of the movie. But before that, the opening battle, which I have to say is spectacular, and I'm prepared to forgive any flaws in these things because I realise there's time constraints and budgets, but it's set with a Roman attack on a fortified fortress in Africa, on the coast of Africa, and the Roman boats are coming in. It's clever the way it was done, it's all detailed in the extras, but it's just so clearly all done in a computer. I'm just getting a bit sick of all this in films these days. Sometimes now they look really good, but this wasn't one of those occasions. I suppose given what they had to do, it's very impressive, but it doesn't look real, and that's the problem I had with that. So not the best of starts, but I got into the film and I started enjoying it. But as the movie went on, the acting seemed increasingly poor to me, or it became increasingly apparent to me that the actors almost seemed disinterested, lackluster even, and Derek Jacobi even sort of disappears. He's a shadow of his former self. I know he's not in this much, but Pedro Pascal, Paul Mescal, Denzel Washington doesn't seem to fit most of the time. He's almost playing Denzel Washington rather than this slave who's becoming potentially an emperor of Rome. It just all seems so lackluster. And I think that's the time constraints possibly showing themselves, and in the extras all on the Blu-ray disc. And I do recommend looking at the extras because it does give you a better appreciation of the film. But I think Ridley Scott says there were less than 60 days to actually shoot this movie. Okay, it must have taken a long time to build the fantastic sets, and that is an impressive part of this film, and I would say it's worth watching for those. But the time constraints, the stress, it seemed that there might have been too much else to concentrate on rather than the fundamental important things such as the acting. So it's understandable, it was just my impression. Others will disagree, and let's hope they do, because this really all took me out of the movie and I wasn't sucked into it like I was with Gladiator. Now, it cost $250 million according to the estimated budget, and took at the worldwide box office $462 million. Now, I think that's very good, considering I can't imagine this would have got startlingly good reviews anywhere, and I don't think word of mouth would have spread too much. But I think that does mean that with streaming and home video sales, everything else, I think this will at least turn a profit, if not a tidy profit. So hopefully it's going to do okay for the studio. It has a running time of 2 hours and 28 minutes, an aspect ratio of 2.40 to 1 approximately, and comes with Dolby Atmos sound. In here I thought the sound was excellent, but the image quality, as soon as this 4K disc finished spinning, I went upstairs, got the 4K of Gladiator, because my recollection of this, it was superior, I was right, this is superior. Might be different on your system, will certainly be harder to tell on a telly, unless you've got an 8-foot wide television, I suppose, or bigger. But this looked actually far better than Gladiator 2 in here. I'm not sure about the sound. I think possibly Gladiator 2 has the edge there, but without the image quality to go with it, that's rather academic as far as I'm concerned. But I was invested in this film all the way through, every time I've watched it. But Gladiator 2, I thought, how can I do a review of this when I'm probably going to stand here and be so critical? So I thought I'll give it a second try. It was going to be difficult to find the time to do that, so I ended up watching it in 3 chunks, and the primary thing for me was that opening battle scene. I thought I'd double check that just to check I didn't get the wrong impression, so put on the opening 15 minutes in here. I hadn't got it wrong. The opening did look poor, looked CGI, but I still enjoyed that battle. I thought, I'm not going to have the time to watch this all the way through, so I'll have a look at the rest of it sometime on our telly. So when I got some time, I went into the living room, put it on the telly, and after a couple of minutes turned it off. It just looked like an absolute joke on there. So it is a big screen film, at least it is to me, and so came back in here and watched another hour, and then later on in the day when I got a load of other things cleared, I watched the remainder of it. But I got to the same point in the film when I thought, this has got to be coming to an end now. So I concluded this time around, second time around, this is about 20 minutes too long. And I thought, what would I remove? Well, all those aerial CGI shots would go. I just thought they were superfluous. All they did was tell me I was watching something created in a computer. And then I thought that battle in the Colosseum where they flooded it and they bring in the 2 galleons and they have these things battling each other, and they've got what look like great white sharks picking off the victims as they're bloodied and thrown in the water or fall in the water. It's highly entertaining, but I just thought this is a nonsense. Okay, I think we all know they did flood the Colosseum, but how on earth do you get sharks out, let alone getting them in there in the first place without having people butchered? So I just thought that was all a bit daft, and I might be wrong. It was the impression I got. I thought you could at least chop that so it's only a couple of minutes and goes through bang, bang, bang. Then you'd have a faster running film, but when you got to that sort of hour and 3/4, hour 15-minute mark, I thought, right, this needs to be coming to an end, but they went back into the Colosseum again and it just went on, and I just felt I'd had enough by then, and that wasn't right. That's not the right way to feel about a film that's as spectacular as this. So the poor acting, or at least I think it's poor, it goes on too long. The sort of lackluster image quality, which is unfair because on most people's systems on their tellies, this will look impressive, it'll look fantastic. It's just 10 feet wide in here, you can tell the difference. So I think there's a lot to commend it. Those sets, they could have replaced, or not even had those aerial CGI shots, could have just gone to the ground where they had these spectacular sets built and done it in camera. That's what I felt anyway. But filmmaking is a process. You have to shoot it and go on, and it's all detailed on that extras disc. So have a look at that. It does give you a better understanding, and up against getting it finished by a certain date, you've got the time constraints, the budget, everything else all goes together to make what the end product is. Might not always turn out how you expected, hoped for, anticipated, and this one might have done, but just didn't work for me. And I'm sure most people, most film fans looking at this will see the flaws, but also see the positives, because this is impressive filmmaking, even if it didn't work for me. So I don't think I'd wholeheartedly recommend this, but this steelbook's so lovely, it's almost worth a purchase on that basis alone. And the film isn't that bad. You know, there are going to be people who really enjoy this. I'm just not one of them. But maybe in the future I'll be a little more forgiving and I will enjoy this more than I have in these 2 viewings up to now. I did hope that second viewing I'd look at it and say, no, I get it now, I really like it, or I like it more. But that was not the case. So, great sound. It's good image quality, it's just not up to the standard of Gladiator. The characters aren't really fully developed. Some of them get on your nerves. The 2 emperors, I didn't like them at all. It's not unusual with these films with ancient Rome. There's often a madman or something in there that tends to get on my nerves. But usually I like something about it, just not this time around. But you can't win them all. So, on to the latest purchases, or in this first instance, Alona, The Mandalorian Season 3 or Series 3, whatever your preferred term is. I tend to prefer series. Of what I've seen so far, little Grogu, or Grogu, however you pronounce that, is better in this than he was in the first two series, and as that was a highlight for me, I'm very much enjoying this. And also Katie Sackhoff having the second lead role, because I really like her, as I did in Battlestar Galactica. But it's a lovely steelbook, and it's got each of the 8 episodes duplicated on Blu-ray, so whether you have just standard Blu-ray or 4K, this one looks like it's going to be a recommendation for me. But I'll probably come back to this in a future video and detail it more thoroughly. Right, there's been a couple of releases from 88 Films recently that interest me, and this one, Short Night of Glass Dolls. This is a film that I had heard of, and when I got the email from 88 Films to say what's coming, I had to get a pre-order in because it looked like such a nice pack, but the trailer to it, I just thought this looks like a very interesting film. So I'll have a look at that. I have had a sneak peek at the image quality. It's very good, but you've got to bear in mind this is Techniscope, so it was shot Techniscope, and those of you who don't know what that is, it's basically half height 35mm that's then squeezed, compressed, and then blown up onto full frame anamorphic 35mm. So half the image quality or capability of full frame anamorphic 35mm. Don't expect too much, but it's film, so it should be good. And what a lovely pack from 88 Films. Now, the other one that came through, I think it was a separate email actually, I put this pre-order in first. Castaway, Oliver Reed and Amanda Donoghue. This is one that my wife wanted to see because she knew of the book, and she read it recently, and then just as she's reading the book, then 88 Films send out their email, and I thought, right, got to have that from day one. So pre-order went in. I think it's out next week as I record this. But what a lovely pack. But got to bear in mind, this is a true story. It's based on Lucy Irving's best-selling book of the same name. Amanda Donoghue plays Lucy Irving in the film. A lot of nudity, and that's how the book was. It's how it is in this. Could have done without some of it perhaps, but that's how it is. And so I won't be able to show the 4 postcards that come with this because I've had a sneak peek on the website. I think she's nude in all of them, but we'll see. Now, Second Sight Films, who are another of my favourite Blu-ray labels, they've got some David Cronenberg 4Ks coming out. They've got the special packs for them, but what do? You get one of those or get 2 of the standards. So The Brood and Scanners. Now, I've had a sneak peek at both of these. The Brood looks absolutely fantastic. Scanners doesn't look like it's too far behind, but the impression I got from the dip into this I had across several chapter starts was The Brood is the superior of the 2. But what a shame that Gladiator II doesn't come up to the image quality of these from, what was it, 1979 and 1981, I think. But there we are. That's where we are in cinema land now. And the Arrow Films release of Dressed to Kill. I haven't had a sneak peek at this yet, but I think we all know it's going to be something special. So that's Brian De Palma's Dressed to Kill. I haven't seen this in a very long time, or at least I haven't seen the full-length version in a very long time. I have the Super 8 3x400 foot cut down that runs for about 48 minutes. And I saw this at the cinema, and then saw the 3x400 foot Super 8 release and thought the Super 8 release was superior. So now I'm just a couple of years older. Be interesting to see what I think of the full feature and whether I prefer that to the Super 8 cut. So I'll review that one soon. I'll probably tie it maybe with the Glass Dolls and Castaway. We'll see. I just haven't decided yet, but I think I'll try and get separate reviews out quickly for The Brood and Scanners. I might do both of those together, but we'll see how I get on. So that's what's coming soon. I've been a little busy lately. Had a meeting with Peter Alden at the Prince Charles because his DCP, 4K DCP of Killing Zoe was screened there as I record this. It was last Saturday, and his ambition, he's achieved his ambition to get film quality on video and have it projected in cinemas. So I'm going to try and do a video with Peter. I've recorded some of it at the Prince Charles, but there's more than needed to be said and we had to think about it. So we're going to try and do something on Zoom to fill in the gaps. But hopefully that'll be something coming soon, and that will hopefully then show the whole scanning process, how it's done. And I'm now thinking it's more of a photographic process than I've ever appreciated. So I'm going to try and get Peter to shoot some of how that's done. He's over in Canada, but he lives part-time over here. But he does all this work over in Canada. And hopefully some more of his DCPs will be getting out to cinemas. They have been screened in cinemas across America. So I'm not sure how many, but I'll get all those details. And wouldn't it be great if this could be taken further and maybe we get some sort of more filmic looking films released on 4K to cinemas and go back to something like we used to enjoy when we were seeing general release prints in local cinemas. Obviously not the quality I was seeing with the master prints in the premiere houses around Leicester Square and the Odeon Marble Arch and a few other places, but it's just special to feel like you're watching a film when you're in a cinema, and could have fooled me when I was sat there watching Killing Zoe. So anyway, hopefully I'll get to that soon, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, perhaps subscribe if you haven't already, and until the next video, bye bye for now.